Well, hello, folks. This is Fat Guy Flies RC. This is the radio rates and CG setup video for the E-FLITE, well, new to me, E-FLITE Cherokee 1.3 meter. If you watch my unboxing and build video, I mentioned that this is the plug and play version, and I just happen to have an extra AR631 that's been factory reset, and it is just like you got it out of the box, okay, like you bought it separately. And I have installed it in this aircraft, essentially making this a bind and fly. So this is actually what it would be, as a bind and fly put in the same place that you would put the way the bind and fly receiver comes in the box. So to show you where I've put the receiver, now just so before we begin, all I've done is named the aircraft and I have bound it to the receiver. I've done nothing else, okay? This is where I have placed the AR631. The antenna, I poked a hole in the foam right there and pushed the antenna and got it draped off towards the rear of the plane, okay? That's where I put the AR631. It only knows that it's hooked up to a plane called Cherokee. That's all the communication we've got. So this is where we're at that point. I have hot glued the receiver in, and if you're going to get the plug and play, if you put the bind and fly, this is where it's going to be already. But if you get the plug and play, if you want to put your receiver here, which this is where they recommend, make sure that this side of the receiver, not this side, but this side, the closer one in, is going parallel with the structure here. Okay, not the out, because the frame actually has a curve to it on the outside. You want to go parallel with this line here to make it straight. Okay, so that's where I've put the receiver, and all I've got is communication. All right, before we begin forward programming to setting this model up the way I want to fly it, we got to make sure, and this is key, that we got our wing type correctly picked and that the directions going the right way. Okay, if you look, my flaps are down. All right, I have no control over the flaps because I have not picked a wing type yet. So let me show you real quick how to do that. Okay, let's move you around just a touch. Okay, this is an IX-14. I've used the old stock picture. Okay, and we're going to go to Model Setup, Aircraft Type. I've got the prop off, so don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to hit that, and you're going to want to pick one wing, one flap. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why you want to take your... Okay, because this RF went off, we lost communication, and that is a hold. Just hit cancel. Now, this plane knows that it has flaps. Model adjust, and this menu for flap system is now active. So let's go ahead and go in there. We want to pick where we want to put the flaps, okay, which I plugged it into channel 6 on the receiver because that's where you're supposed to. And I like using my D switch, so I'm going to come down here to D, okay, flap D, and there it is. And now there's no communication yet, okay, and it doesn't know anything about it, just knows it's on D, but it has no settings in there. So let's go ahead. Let me go over here. We're going to turn the aircraft around a little bit so you can actually see the flaps and the radio at the same time. Okay. Now, because this is a plug and play, the manual gives no recommendations for rates or flap settings or anything. So I'm doing this by the old noggin. All right. We know that that's the right channel. I know that I'm in the 0 position all the way up. And so this is where I want flaps to be up. Okay. Now they see it says flap and elevator. All right. That's way if we're going to put a mix in. For right now, we're not going to put a mix in. We're going to try to bring them flaps all the way up. So I'm going to drag this all the way over. And look at that. My flaps went up. See what happens when I go back down? When I go back down here, look what happens. They go back down. So I'm going to grab that front slider all the way up. Flaps are all the way up now. So I now know that negative 100% is my flaps up position. Okay? So look what happens when I go to second. When I go to second position, it goes down. All right, well, let's just go ahead and go there. Position 1 is my takeoff flaps. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. All right, we're not going to put any elevator mix in there, position 1. We're going to leave that alone. So, flaps up, position 1, takeoff. All right, let's go, and we're going to hit OK there. Okay, and now we're going to go to position 2. This will be landing. Let me go ahead and put my all the way down position 2 here. Okay, and we're going to go, let's just say, let's put it at 50. See what that looks like. No, that's where nowhere near. So we know, wait a minute, they're going up. So not negative, I want positive. Okay, let's put it at 50. Now that looks about right. Okay, no elevator. So I go position 2, takeoff, position up. So when you look at the 3 positions, okay, flaps up would be a negative 100, takeoff would be 0, and landing would be a positive 50. No elevator to flap mix. Now take a look at them flaps. Takeoff, flaps up. Now, they move awfully abruptly. So let's change the speed. And let's just change that to 2 seconds. Okay. Now, watch them flaps when I put takeoff. There's takeoff. There's landing. All right. Now, when I go to fly it, then I'll decide whether I want flapped elevator mix. But if I remember correctly, there is no flapped elevator mix on the old one running on 3S. Now, when I run it on 4S, when I do landing flaps, because a little more power, I may put a small amount. But for right now, we're good. All right. Now, it's time to check trim. We already know that everything is going the right direction. Up elevator is correct. Right rudder is correct. The right aileron, left aileron, and the flaps. So we know all of our flight controls are right. Now let's look for trim. Now on this plane, they give you a set trim on the side of the fuselage, okay, for your elevator. If you look very closely, now the light you probably can't see, but you just have to trust me. There's a little structure right there on that fuse. There's a little raised area, a little indentation there. And that little line is where you're going to want this elevator to line up with. Now, if it didn't, okay, if it did not, because you're saying, wait a minute, that elevator is all sealed up. If it did not, right here, okay, this is where your elevator servo. There's a little Phillips head screwdriver. All you would do is loosen that up and move your elevator with your hand, move it until it's perfectly lined up, and then anchor that screw back down. But let me show you something. Something I noticed right off the bat. Look at that rudder. Perfectly level, perfectly straight, got 90 degrees. However, take a look at the front nose gear. I can get the light out of it. See how it's kind of kicked off to one side? It's not straight. That means if I leave the plane alone like this, as I'm tacking, it's going to start turning on me. So we've got to straighten that up. So for that, we're going to do the same process. If you look closely, okay, you got the adjustment going back to the rudder, which if it was not right, you would undo the screw and straighten it up, just like you would the elevator. But this over here on this side, there's a little screw there. Okay. Loosen that up, and we can move our rudder. Okay. So all I'm going to do is put her on the plane stand. Okay. Take a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm going to loosen that screw up just a little bit for the nose steering. Just enough where I've got free movement. And I'm going to grab the front of the gear here, and I'm going to turn it straight. Now there's a separation in the plastic here. It makes a line where these two halves of plastic come together. Pull them right, and then look straight down and to where that line is now 90 degrees with the front of the plane. And that should be just about perfect. Okay. I mean, you're just eyeballing it. Okay, and that looks about perfect. Now I can anchor that back down. Okay, and now look at it. See? That looks a lot straighter now. So now my plane should taxi straight. All right, well, that's fine and dandy. You're thinking, what about forward programming on it? All right, well, we're ready for forward programming because we know that all the control surfaces are going the right direction. And I cannot stress that enough. You must make sure that all your control surfaces are going the right direction before you do forward program, because otherwise you're going to be lying to the computer and making it believe that that wrong direction is the right direction. And then the next thing you know, you're going to put in safe or something and your plane's going to go out of control, and then you're going to try to compensate, and it's just going to exasperate the problem and make it worse. So it's key that all your control surfaces are going the right direction now, because the computer's only going to believe what you tell it. Okay? If you say that's the right direction and you lock it in, well, guess what? That's the way it's going to fly. So you don't want to do that. All right. So for this, we're going to pause for just a moment. Okay. And I'm going to move the camera in. You're going to look at the camera and be looking at the transmitter. Make it easier for you. All right. This is how you're going to set up forward programming. Now, we already talked about, we already got the model bound. We already know model name. Even got the picture picked. We already know that all the control surfaces are going in the correct direction. Okay, now some of this I have to do, you just have to trust that I'm doing it because you can't see the transmitter and the plane at the same time. All right, so you're going to go to Model Adjust. Okay, you're going to go to Forward Programming. I picked our wing type. Now we know the model's all set up right, but Forward Programming is not initiated. So you're going to go to Gyro Settings, and you're going to go to First Time Setup. Okay, we already know everything's right. Okay, and once again, all right, we want to set the model level, which it is. It's sitting level. You have to just trust me. Okay, and now it wants to know which way is down. So you're going to take the model and you're going to pick it up. Just trust that I'm doing this, and I've got the model facing down. In other words, nosing down. So let me see if I can show it to you. See, model's down. Okay, it's facing down. Okay, just want to show you what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, you're going to hit continue. All right, it's been position 5. You're going to hit continue again. Okay, go ahead and put the model back down. Now we're going to pick our gain channel. This is where you want to make where you're going to control the gains. Gain channel. I like using my roller up here. I like using this roller. Okay, so we're going to select the channel. Okay, now I'm going to be using aux 3. Okay, and then and I've already picked the knob, but I've already picked it. But say you didn't have one picked, you go here, hit it, and it automatically records it. Okay, you're going to hit next. Okay, then you're going to hit apply. Going to go with a little dance there. Reboot. All right, it only danced once. That means only AS3X is working. If safe was working, it would dance twice. Gyro settings, first time safe setup. Okay, you're going to hit pick your FM channel, or where you want your safe to be controlled at. You got your 3 levels. You're going to have self-leveling, you're going to have AS3X only, or you can turn the AS3X. So I like using a 3-position switch, and I like using my B switch. Okay, so the FM channel I'm going to use is going to be, I think I like aux 4. Okay, and I like to use switch B, but if that wasn't already picked, you'd get this screen here, pick your channel. Okay, all right, you've already got it picked, so you're going to hit continue. All right, I've already got it in the highest position here towards me. That's flight mode 3. But if I put it all the way down, look how it changes to flight mode 1. That's where I want my safe. I want the furthest down position, in other words, the furthest away from me. I want that there. So hit next. All right, And now we're setting up safe, and we know that we're on aux or flight mode 1. Level the model to capture the attitude. Well, the roll's fine. Okay, the pitch is 4. Actually, I like to put it at 8. That gives me just enough up elevator for recovery position. It's easier to deal with your plane rising than it is suddenly diving. That's where I want safe to be. I want it to slightly pitch up on me. Okay? That's just me. Now, you want to put both of them at 0, put them both at 0. And I need to pick what I want that to do. This is how I want safe to act. I want it to be self-leveling. Hit that. So now I know that that's what that's going to do in flight mode 1. Then you're going to hit apply. Now it's going to dance twice now. Once and twice. All right, go back to gyro settings again. Go back to flight mode again. All right. Remember, we're in the safe, the position furthest away, position 0. Flight mode 1 is in position 0. I'm now going to pull that up to the second position, and I want to make sure that AS3X is active only, okay? And then I'm going to go to the third position, flight mode 3, and I'm going to turn safe or AS3X off. I want to inhibit it, okay? Then go back. Let me show you that again. So, flight mode 1, self-level. Flight mode 2, wait a minute. Okay. Sometimes I didn't want to change for you. Flight mode. All right. There. Flight mode 3, AS3X is inhibited. Flight mode 2, middle position, it's active. In flight mode 1, furthest away position 0, AS3X is active, and self-leveling is active. Okay? Now, while we're here and doing this kind of stuff, I'm leaving the AS3X settings alone. I'm not going into the priorities and headings and all that. I just have it wired by as default, and I keep my gains adjustable on the knob for whatever flight settings are or how the wind is for that day. That's the furthest I go. That's what I do. Y'all do what you want, but that's what I do. Okay? Model setup. Go ahead and channel assign. We're going to talk about that reverse thrust. Okay? All right. Reverse thrust is going to, I like putting it on my aux2, channel 7. Okay? And I like it on my I switch. All right? If it wasn't already there, you would pick whatever switch you want. I like it on the bind button or the I switch. Okay? Now, let me show you how to get into that settings.
Holds 1.
Because we lost signal, because when the RF went out, that's the hold. Go ahead and go over here. And go ahead and get it on the Avian programming screen. Okay? We're going to show you how to set up thrust reverse. Now, you're going to have to unplug your model. And I want to say it's 10 seconds you have to get into the menu. I'm going to unplug it. 10 seconds from the time you plug it in. Plug it back in. Okay. Okay. Go through its dances. All right. What's it tell you to do? Make sure your throttle's all the way to 0. Okay. Up elevator, left aileron. Okay. Up elevator, right aileron, step 2. Okay. Now you're in the menu. And you navigate. Let me pull you up just a touch so you can see my stick movement also. You navigate through this screen by going down. See, look at that cursor there. Okay. Up and down. Okay. Go back up here. We already know we're on go back up here to brake type. Now, I've already picked reverse. I've already done this. But all you do is just right click or right aileron to change it. See how it's changing? Get to where it's on reverse. Then go down here, go down 1 to brake force. I like it at 7. That's the maximum force, the most braking you're going to get at 7. Now you can pick 1 or 2, make it very more anemic. But I like full braking force, and then I control that by my throttle. And just keep going down. You got to pick out where you're going to assign it at. Remember, I put it on was aux 3i, if I remember right. Okay. Channel 7. See, I'm going down here. And then I like it on channel 7. I've already got it picked. Okay. I'm going to, now because I want to save this, I'm going to go right because that's what selects it. Now it's rebooting itself again. Da-da. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the normal dashboard. All right. Now let's pause and move you. Okay. Now, we've gone through forward program. I've shown you how to set that up. Now let me show you what that looks like. I had to repeat part of this video, so if I go back and cover something up again, I'm sorry. I realized at one point when I'm actually doing this whole thing over again, because at one point I wasn't even recording. So, all right, so I should be good and practiced at it. All right, now let's show you how the forward programming works. Remember, I picked the furthest away was where I want safe. So what that means is the plane should self-level. All right. And look at the ailerons. Look how they're holding their position. Okay. Watch that elevator. See how it's pitching up? Okay. Now when I go back down, back to level. Pitching up, back to level. Okay. So now I know. And another way you can tell, that's just a real graphic way. See, it's trying to get the plane back to self-level. But I prefer to see that the control surface holding the position that would level the plane again. That way I know safe is working. Now, let's go to AS3X. All right. Oh, wait. How come my gyros aren't working? I don't hear anything. Remember, with AS3X, you have to bump the throttle up over 20% or 20 or 25% in order to get the AS3X to work. So, throttle cut off. In other words, I'm live. All right, now, let me turn my throttle cut back off, or my throttle cut on so my prop doesn't work. But look, listen, hear that? Hear them gyros? All right, now I know they're working. Now, you say, well, that's fine and dandy, but what if they're going the wrong way? If safe's working the right way, then the AS3X will work the right way. However, you do need to make sure that your gyro is correcting the right direction. All right, so if the wind was to hit the bottom of the plane and push the plane up, then that elevator needs to move in such a way to push the plane back down, in other words, fight against the force. So what I would need, if the plane's getting pushed up, then I want that elevator to rise against my hand, which would push the plane back down. So you can guess with a rudder. If the plane's getting pushed this way, then the rudder is going to turn towards the direction to push the rudder back. So it should push against my hand. And it does. So what do you think the aileron is going to do? If the plane gets pushed up, that aileron should be pushing against my hand, and it does. Now, the reason I like putting my gains adjustable on a knob, this is the most gross correction. Okay? Now, that's if I'm trying to fly in a hurricane, which I wouldn't do that anyways. Well, y'all know me. So if I turn the gains all the way down, now essentially they're off. But put them about maybe midway, now they're working just a little bit. Okay? The reason for that is you're trying to find that sweet spot. You're trying to find that nice little setting in there on that roller for the day where it's just a little bit windy, so I don't need much gains to make her fly nice and level. In other words, if she's really getting rocked around a lot by the wind, I'm going to turn the gains up a little bit until she's got a little more of a locked-in feel. Okay? Now, if I'm flying along really fast and she starts doing it oscillating, then I've got them gains up too high. So then I need to dial them back down. You're trying to find that sweet spot. which changes each day because the wind and all things are going to be different each day. So that's why I like to make it adjustable. And with practice, you'll have that in the first 10 seconds of your flight. You'll figure out where you want. Okay. Now, we talked about safe. We know how safe we're. Oh yeah. In flight mode 3, nothing. Okay. No control at all. And that actually, I mean, there's no gyro correction at all. In other words, AS3X is turned off. All you have is movement, but you in control of the aircraft, but you have no gyro correction. This is the best way to fly the plane initially to make sure she's trimmed. Because remember, even though everything looks nice and straight, this is bench trim. You don't know if she's truly flight trim until you fly her. Okay, and I know for a beginner that's like, oh, I don't want to fly without safe. Okay, fly it with safe, get used to it, but then once you're used to playing, try flying her with the gyro all the way off like I've shown you how to do, and then make sure she's trim. And really, if you can do that right off the bat, then do that. Got suspension on that front nose. All right, we've talked about that. Let's talk about CG. CG on this plane is 120 millimeters back from the leading edge root. Now that's the leading edge, but right there's the root. The root is wherever the wing touches the fuselage. Okay, that's the root. And you measure from that point. It even says so in the manual. 120 millimeters back, puts it right in front. There's a panel line here, puts it right in front. Okay, and it's the same panel line underneath. You feel for that panel line, drag your finger a little bit forward of that towards you. Okay, and then that's your CG right there. Turn her over, try it from the other direction. Find my panel line. I got some little black marks there. Okay, and that's pretty good right there. All right. You say, well, that's fine and dandy, but doesn't your battery placement change that? Well, let me show you where I've got the battery to get that seat. Remember, when you get the hatch, push on that screw. Don't be tempted to use the antenna. You'll break the antenna off. Ask me how I know on the first 2 Cherokees. All right. For a 3200 4S, you can see, hopefully you can see, I've drawn a line there. Okay. And based upon that same type of testing, moving the battery backwards and forwards, right there is where I've got that 3200 started from that point back. So I wrote 3200K, 3200 4S from there back. So if I had a bigger battery, like a 4000, I would pull that back just a little bit further back, maybe right about here. If I had, say, a 27 or a 2200, I'd pull it a little bit more forward. Remember, the lighter the battery, the further forward, the heavier the battery, the further back. But that's my midpoint for this battery, so now I can adjust accordingly based upon the battery that I'm using. For this plane, I'm probably going to use the 3200 4S and a 3200 3S, which 3200 3S is going to be slightly lighter, so I'm going to go a little bit further forward. But that's where my base point is, and that way I can adjust each day accordingly, and I know where the CG is. All right, hit that screw, lock it down. All right. Talked about CG, we've talked about rates. Oh, I don't know if I showed you rates or not. I really don't remember now. But yeah, I did. Well, no, did I? I don't. I'm asking you. My rates I have set on my G switch. I have my high rates at 100% throws with 30% expo. That's what that looks like. I've got my mid rates at 85 with 30% expo, and my low rates at 70 with 30% expo, and that's what that looks like. Okay, same thing for the elevator. High is 100, 30% expo. Mid is 85, 30% expo. Low is 70, 30% expo. So 70, 85, and 100, 30% expo on everything. And on my rudder, I just got it one setting, 100% throws, 30% expo, only one rate for my rudder. Okay. All right, that covers rates. That covers how to do forward programming. That covers how to do your... Oh, yes, let's talk about the reverse thrust, and let me show you. And yes, I have the prop on, but it's kind of hard to show you reverse thrust without the prop being on. Okay. Right now, my throttle cut is on. Okay, throttle does not work. I'm going to get behind the plane. Okay, and I'm going to show you why I picked the I switch. Okay, throttle cut off. Plane is now live. Okay, it's wanting to go forward. I got something blocking the wheel here. Okay, wanting to go forward, right? Now, hold that down. Now it's wanting to go backwards. So if I let go of the bind switch, it automatically picks up and automatically puts the plane in the forward position. It wants to go forward. So the benefit of that is if I accidentally was to hit this in flight or something, it wouldn't be like a switch that's going to hold position. It'll automatically go back to the default position, which means the plane's going to go forward. Okay. Now this is like any other button. Had that been reversed, you just go on there to the channel and reverse it as if it was reversed. But I want that bind to up position, the default position where it goes up, it stays to be forward, if that makes sense. And then I want to have to hold it down for braking, for reverse thrust. And that you wouldn't do for this plane, or really any plane, until you've landed and you're now rolling and you know you're not going to kick back up again. Then hit reverse thrust to slow your roll out. That's the only reason. And with this plane, really, with the flaps, I don't think you're going to need it. Let me go over flap settings again. I don't know if I've covered it because I've had to repeat this video now. Flap settings, I picked the D switch, okay, for take a landing flap, or take our landing flaps, sorry. If I went over this again, just bear with me. For landing flaps, it is 50% positive with no elevator flap mix. I don't think this plane's going to need one. For takeoff, it is 0%, positive 0%, no mix. And then for flaps up is a negative 100%, zero mix, obviously. So that's what that looks like. All right, we've gone over flap settings. We've gone over rates. We've gone over CG. We've gone over how to do forward programming. We've gone over how to put the thrust reverse in. And we've talked about the importance of using your bind button for your reverse thrust. I've given you a demonstration of SAFE, of how SAFE would work, how to react. I've shown you how to check and see if your gyro is working correctly. And I've also talked about why on flight mode 3 I like to use ASRX turned off so that I can make sure the plane is trimmed correctly, and then I can enjoy ASRX for flying. Okay? All right, I can't think of anything else we need to talk about. I think the only thing we need to do now is fly the plane, get you a maiden. I will be using this product here, polyacrylic clear gloss, and I'm just going to give the plane a nice light dusting with this. Well, I'll take the canopy off because this is all plastic, and I'll cover the electronics. And there's a nice dusting with this. The reason for polyacrylic or clear coat is just like back in the day when cars were sold, they didn't have a clear coat on them. Okay, you had to keep wax on your car to protect the paint. Well, that's the same thing. Clear gloss gives a nice, hard, thin, very, very, very lightweight shell over your plane, and it protects against like fingernails, or where you keep grabbing the plane, you get oil on your hands. It helps protect the plane from very minor dents and dings, and the protection that you get versus the minuscule amount of weight this adds, it isn't even consideration. I highly recommend doing this. Just make sure you don't cake, like where you have a pinch hinge. Well, these all have mechanical hinges and pinch hinges, but anywhere where you have just a plain pinch hinge, don't get too much in the hinge because it can gum up in there, and then you can actually damage your hinge. Okay, so just be careful with that. Just make sure you don't get much in the hinges. Okay, just a night light dusting. Do that to your plane about once a year, and it'll help the foam last and be good for it for a long time. All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, but there are many other YouTube channels on this plane. This is not a new plane, and this is actually my third one, but this is the first one in this iteration with the Smart ESC and everything. So Thank you for watching. God bless y'all. Don't forget, folks, faith, family, and friends, God is good. And that is the E-FLITE Cherokee 1.3 meter. And I cannot wait to get it out and give you the flight demonstration made. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.